Okay, so I don't normally do these, but I figure why not, uh, do a little bonus team building session thing here. So this week I play Tetris on his NHA team or whatever was going on there. And this is kind of a little document I put together for all my games, of just stuff that I find useful to look at when I make these teams. But, here's my team. If you've watched any of this stuff, you know what I got. His team has Venucole, which is, always threatening, although he's never brought Venusaurus so far. I'm not, particularly weak to it or anything, but it's just generally good stuff, so I think I have to prepare for it, even though he seems to not want to play it. He'll probably bring Torkoal. It gets to do a lot of, it's not super great, but it's average against me. It can hit a lot of things. Obviously, he doesn't like the Pelipper, but it's just one mod. He's got Primarina, which I expect he'll bring. I personally think Primarina is really great, particularly in Draft League, where it has, for the kind of typing it has and the tiering it's in, it's a pretty solid mod. He's got a lot of Trick Room options with these two, obviously, but Oranguru, Cabraja, Avalugg, Golurk, even Pangoro, Duosion, all of these things like Trick Room, so there's a pretty decent chance he's going to have at least a Trick Room mode on the team he brings. Aerodactyl with Tailwind is his way to outspeed me. Aerodactyl outspeeds everything but Dragapult. Fake Out is good into this. I don't really expect him to max this thing. I think Tailwind with Sash is a Tailwind Sash lead is something I would see if he brings this. Fast Rock Slide is pretty good into me too. So I definitely want to prevent him from doing that if I can. He hasn't brought Camparaja. Will he? Probably not. I think there's some times where you can use Camparaja, but I don't know if my team is where you really bust it out. Again, it's not bad, but you lose Sheer Force when you max. I'm not particularly vulnerable to Steel. Clefable doesn't like it, Terrakion doesn't like it, but Terrakion can also borderline kill, because Camparaja, despite being a giant steel elephant, I think it has pretty weak defense. We'll actually check that out here. This is great. This is very mediocre, and Terrakion can hit very hard. I don't think I'm going to spec it to kill this thing in one hit, but if it happens, I got my outs. So let's get rid of this now. I think he's going to bring Avalugg. My team, as you can see, Ice Week, Ice Week, Ice Week. It's only 3 things that are, I guess Thwackey is 2. There's 4 things that are Ice Week, but 2 of them are my big brings. And I expect him to bring Avalugg, and I expect him probably to have some sort of swagger combo. Aerodactyl gets swagger, Camparaja gets swagger, and Luxray gets swagger. I've already said that I don't think I see Camparaja, and swagger Camparaja is not really great. Aerodactyl is the clear choice because you can swagger and Tailwind. And if that is the lead, it really just falls to me to find a way to make sure that you can only do one. Obviously, I'd rather him do neither, but I might not be able to prevent that. But if you don't know, Avalugg's ability means it can't be confused. I think it gets Oblivious or something like that. So it's a pretty decent swagger target in that you can get that free +2. When it's Dynamaxed, it's a lot bulkier than it is when it's not. We'll pull it up here real quick too. This is the even worse Avalugg somehow. But, colossal defense stats, huge. Physically, you're not going to kill it anywhere near one hit. Special defense is pathetic, though, so that's where you hit it. I expect he'll probably do some sort of like assault vest Dynamax thing. There are other options. You could run other items. You could run a Sash. You could run Sturdy even and just like not do this. You could run Sturdy Lum. But I think the most obvious choice is run Avalugg with Confute. I guess we'll look up see what it actually is. It's its own tempo, and it blocks Intimidate. Intimidate's not really something I'm going to bring, but the own tempo will be what he's looking for here. I expect that at least this is an option for him. But I guess we'll see. I'm going to prep for it, though. Luxray, he's brought before. It actually went off in game 1, I think, or match 1, whatever, when he played the person I already forget, but it's got 4 kills. It's got Intimidate. It's got Swagger. It can do other stuff. Actually, it's got a decent bit, so these are just like support tech options for it, but it's got a decent support move pool for what it is. We'll pull back over here again. Pull up Luxray. Because it's bulk. It's not terrible. It's not good, but it's not terrible. So what? 80, aggressively average, 79, 79, super average, but not terrible. This thing, it's not going to EVAB. So, you know, it's 80, 80, 80, and then it's got Intimidate. You know, something, it's bulk. It can live, you know. With this really mediocre speed stat, you'll invest in bulk, so you'll probably put a bunch in HP and then enough attack to kill something. I'm not particularly weak when it comes to electric moves. Moltres doesn't like it, obviously, and Pelipper too, but well, I guess I know I'm a star, but I don't know. I'm not overly afraid of it on the offensive side, but it's something to consider because those wild charges or, you know, Thunderbolts will hit hard. Yeah. He could bring Golurk. It's his only ground type, and my Thundurus is like the current kill leader in the league, so I feel like it's something that you must respect. I don't particularly find Thundurus to be great this match for me, but it's not bad either. So he'll bring Torkoal. It's going to hit Torkoal really hard. It might honestly even OHKO Torkoal in some cases if he doesn't EV properly. It's going to murder Primarina even through its defenses. Goodra's going to kind of wall it, but it'll hit hard into Oranguru. I can max Flying into Venusaur, and it'll hit it pretty hard if he doesn't go Koba, which I think he might. I have a lot of max Airstream things in this team, so if he brings Venusaur, the Koba Berry is definitely a possibility. It slaughters this thing. Even a Rock Slide shouldn't kill. Thundurus isn't that bulky, but it's bulky enough to let a spread move like that. It'll one-shot this thing. It'll murder this thing. It's still going to hit this pretty hard. Golurk obviously is immune, but I can run Dark Pulse for it. And even these two things. So I guess it is more of a threat. And I think because it's such a threat, he'll bring Golurk to at least make me consider like Thunderbolt in turn 1. Like the switch could be there. I don't expect Pangoro. I have a lot of I have a lot of fake out, or at least I have, you know, respectable fake out. I guess I have 3 fake outs. That's a lot of fake out. So we could bring it for quick guard and then like other stuff. It's got a decent support move pull. The thing against it is it's god awful. It's bad typing. I don't particularly like on a slow mon being weak to flying, being 4 times weak to fairy. Just those 2 alone are things I'm particularly excited about for my own stuff, but it could be there. Does he bring Duosion this week? Maybe. I don't know. So his Trick Room options are Duosion and Oranguru. So, oh weird. There's a fire truck outside my house. Where are these guys going? I'm gonna pause this. This is weird. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what that was. Anyway, He'll bring one of these. I would expect it to be Oranguru and then maybe Derosian, but they do very similar things, so I don't really need to prep very much difference between the two. So, I've looked at this beforehand. I need an anti-Trick Room tech. I have a ton of taunt on this team, so that's an option. I would expect that the Oranguru, at least, will have a Metal Herb, which means that probably Dragon Tail and other pseudo phasing moves are my best options, which really means Steelix and or Dragapult need to be on the team. Fortunately, hold on a second. More stuff going on here. So, I think for me, clear brings are Moltres and Dragapult. I don't think there's any question to that. I think they're definitely on the team. I think, personally, Thwackey and Tauros don't bring a lot to the table. The only physical things that I'm afraid of, I can't intimidate. Thwackey, it's got use against Primarina, and then, it can use Grassy Glide if I let Trick Room grow up, but I don't know, it's just not something I'm particularly interested in. I think my other options are better. I have a couple things I can do. He doesn't have a ton of things that I really feel like I need to redirect outside of Swagger, but then I have to take that Swagger, and I don't know how I want to do that. So Clef is probably on the bubble, leaning towards being out for me this week. I'm actually just going to go ahead and put it over there, and we'll figure it out as we go along. I think Pelipper is a solid bring for a couple of reasons. I need to figure out exactly how the speed tiering works, but if I can lead with something super slow, even if we have a switch out war, he should switch before me, ideally. Maybe. His team is very slow. I'll never underspeed Torkoal, but if I keep Pelipper in the back and then lead with Steelix, I can switch Steelix out, hopefully be the second person to switch, and then I think my weather will activate later. If he switches out, he'll switch Torkoal in, Drow will activate, then I'll switch out, and then Pelipper will come in, and then Rain will activate. And that's a decent option for me. And outside of this, Pelipper is pretty solid. I can do Hurricanes into Venusaur, I can Scald into Torkoal, I can Wide Guard to protect myself from Torkoal. Avalugg is unlikely to run Freeze Drive. I don't even know if it gets Freeze Drive, and it's got a terrible special attack stat, so I don't think I'm going to have to worry about that. Options for my own Tailwind. It can have knockoff if I want to go for a taunt route to prevent Trick Room. So that's there. I think Pelican, it's at least good to sit there for now. I think Steelix is another good bring for me too, because I can do Dragon Tail. Obviously, Torkoal is just going to annihilate me in Primarina. So the sort of Firewater Grass Core he's got will annihilate Steelix. But everything else, Steelix is pretty good into. I can Dragon Tail or Oranguru to prevent Trick Room. I don't really fear too much from Goodra. It could be max water, max fire. But I don't know. It's not something I'm particularly concerned about. I can hit back hard. Aerodactyl it just sits on. Luxray it just sits on. Avalugg it mostly sits on. I mean, Avalugg's gonna hurt, but Steelix has got even higher base defense somehow. Golurk can hit it, but still enormous defense from Steelix. Another Wide Guard option for me. I may go AV if I go Steelix, to be honest, so it can live like that weird flamethrower from Goodra, but still an option. I think it's a good bring, so we're going to go for there. Thundurus, see, it's so hard not to bring Thundurus because it does so much damage that I think I'm just going to slot it in there for now. And so now I have to pick one of these four. Now, part of me wants to do this for, not the meme, but, just because I think it'd be cool. But Omastar, if I can get it in the rain, outspeeds everything on his team. Not on a Tailwind, but I'm not particularly threatened by Aerodactyl. And outside of Venusaur, there actually isn't a ton of stuff on his team that threatens Omastar. And Omastar's got this move called Reflect Type, which I'm 99% sure it works on Dynamax mons, but it copies the type of the opponent you're fighting. So if he leads, Venusaur, whatever, and I can get the rain up so I can outspeed the Venusaur, I can reflect type the Venusaur, and it's going to hit me. I mean, the obvious play, if you see Star out there, is just to throw a max grass move into it. And I'll quad resist that. It shouldn't do too much damage, and then I won't take the passive effect. Then I can max the next turn and do whatever I want. Or not, or I could just Meteor Beam or something. Thing is, it's gimmicky. It could go... Hold on 1 second again. More stuff going on outside. Okay, so... it's a dangerous game playing Weather Wars with Torkoal when all I have is Pelipper, because he's always going to underspeed me. I guess I could run Lagging Tail, but I don't know if it works like that. I know Iron Ball makes me slower. The Lagging Tail would make me last. I actually don't mind going last if it meant that I would always win the Weather War. You know what? Let's check that out right now, actually. Someone must have asked this question, so we'll see what's going on here. If it loads. I don't know what's going on. Must be a Reddit thing. There we go. Okay, so it doesn't work. I didn't think it did. Yeah, we'll check this out too. We'll just do it. We're doing it live. And switch. It's really a turn order question here. Let's see. I'm gonna pause this. I'll figure this out and I'll come back. Okay, so I looked it up and I'm pretty sure that my understanding of this is correct, and that turn order determines who switches first or not, and assuming whatever he's got out there is faster than Steelix, it would switch before me, and then assuming he's switching into Torkoal to give Venusaur the pocket boost, Torkoal would come in, activate Drought, then my Steelix would switch out. I would bring in my Pelipper, and because my Pelipper came in second, I would actually set up the rain. Long story short, that is my plan if I open and I expect to see a Venusaur, is to lead Steelix there. The Steelix slot 2 is a... I don't know. I gotta consider what item I put on the Pelipper, because it's probably gonna get... I don't know if you attack Steelix though, depends on the partner. Either way, I'm pretty sure this works, so I'm not gonna put any weird speed item on Pelipper, and the idea of the Steelix lead is still strong for me. It can enable the Pelipper switch. If I put Dragon Tail on it, it can stop the Trick Room shenanigans. He has no fake out at all. He's got some ally switching, which could be tricky, but that just kind of is what it is. You can ally switch. Like if he went Duosion or Angaroo, he could ally switch Trick Room. He gets Trick Room up, but in that scenario, I have the Steelix on the field, and he's got, the Monkey and Duosion, and they're not very offensively threatening. I'll always have to keep Pelican is key for me here because the Torkoal is very scary under Trick Room. And it becomes a lot less scary if it's raining. I think Steelix probably gets the AV. And yeah. So it really comes down to these things. Mr. Rhyme is an option here for me. Rhyme doesn't really fear too much from Venusaur, and it can hit hard on both stabs. Psychic neutrally is pretty good against him. The things, with the exception of Caporaja, Psychic Ice hits everything without resisting. And again, I don't expect to see Caporaja. Freeze Dry is pretty solid. Hits a lot of things. Pretty strong play with Rhyme, actually. So Rhyme doesn't get imprisoned, which sucks, because this would be a perfect scenario for that. But, it is what it is. I could run Trick Room to untrick Room, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'll just include some slow things and put Protect on everything. And play through it if it happens. To attack Rhyme with either Ally Switch or Fake Out. It's a strong option for me, I think. This could be a Rhyme week. Terrakion, I don't know. I really don't know about Terrakion. So it can't kill Avalugg, and Avalugg is a big threat for me. And even though it's got the typing win, Avalugg's just going to fire off max steals and stuff, and that colossal defense stat when Dynamaxed is just unkillable for those 3 turns, and even after that, really, on the physical side. It would be good into, I don't know, against Torkoal, sort of, but Torkoal's got good defense. I really think this is a week to not bring Terrakion, to be honest. Salazzle, good into Venu, but Venu's probably got Max Earth, or Max Quake, and that's very scary. It can Sludge Bomb Torkoal, and it can Sludge Bomb Primarina, which is nice. It can't touch Gudra at all, which is not nice. It's another Fake Out, but Rhyme can Fake Out too. And maybe, if I do bring Rhyme, I think I have to Fake Out on Rhyme. It's weak to Duosion. It's weak to Golurk. I don't think this is a Salazzle week either. So it's down to Rhyme and Omastar. The gimmick and the not gimmick. For the purposes of now, I think I take Rhyme and I leave Omastar for a week where I actually want to do Rain. This really isn't a Rain team for me this week. This is Rain as a means to stop his Weather Engine. And his Weather Engine can be very strong. Even if it's not to speed up Venusaur, it can just allow Torkoal to do a lot of Trick Room damage. And I don't want that to happen. You may know I have Wide Guard on both these. I think Pelican's always going to have Wide Guard. It's always going to have Scald, and it's probably going to have Tailwind. Tailwind could be good for me. I could also go Knock and then put Taunt on something else. I'm just going to have to think about that. But I think this is the justification for what I'm bringing here. And I will throw this into Team Builder, and then we'll go over what I got. Alright, so I wouldn't call this done, per se, but here is a look at what the team is going to look like, sort of. The EVs aren't perfect. I think I need to do a little math grinding here. The things that I need to look out for are the Aerodactyl speed tier, so basically Dragapult needs to always outspeed Aerodactyl. Venusaur is also a big one. I think there's pretty good reason for him to not run full investment on his Venu, so I'm just going to calc stuff that's near Venu to try and outspeed a bonus version or something. He's always going to be doubled, you figure, so he can choose to invest in a little more bulk. His Venu, if he brings it, could be AV, it could be Life Orb, it could be Sash even, it could be Wide Lens, it could be a lot of things, but I don't think it's going to be timid max speed because I don't see the upside for him to invest so heavily in that, which means that I don't really feel like I need to as well. So Things like Pelipper could try and speed creep, which is kind of what I'm looking for here, but I don't know if I'll stay with that. Thunderous, I could probably drop a lot of speed on this. It's never going to outspeed Aerodactyl outside of some boosting. And he doesn't really have a ton of stuff in the 100s. Really, he's got a lot of base 80s. He's a very slow team, and then Aerodactyl. So I could drop some from Thunderous and put it in bulk. I'll probably do that. Yeah. So we have Moltres here. I think I have to respect the Sleep Powder lead. So this is Lum at the moment. I could put Safety Goggles, but I like how Lum has, gives me options after that. Random Confusion can't get me. A Random Paralyzation can't get me. I don't expect him to get to Sleep Powder me more than once either. I have ton on this thing at the moment. That's one of the things that I'm concerned with. I may switch it to Dark Pulse or another offensive move. Fiery Wrath, it just doesn't do a lot of damage unboosted to certain things. It's something I'm just going to toy with until the end, but pretty basic. Speed here again, not perfect. Eventually I want to get it so that it outspeeds Modest Venusaur. I do always want to go first relative to that. Other than that, General Moltres, put some attack in it, make it bulky. I could put Nasty Plot instead of Taunt. That's an idea. I could go no Protect, but I think Protect is important in this game because of the likelihood of him getting Trick Room up this high. Dragapult. At the moment, I've got this idea that I can go like Rhyme with Ice Shard, and I can do some pretty clever plays that way. But this is only going to work based on what he brings. So there are some combinations where I never do this, so I don't know how much I keep it. I'm also considering running a Flame, like a Fire Blast maybe. Like a Weakness Policy boosted Fire Blast, if it's a Max Flare. If that can Okro AV Avalugg, then I think that's like a pretty good tech for me. Because then I could just ignore the partner, because they're going to Swagger Avalugg. And hopefully one-shot it. It could always be sturdy, so I got to be careful there. But if I do that, I think I get rid of Darts. I like Phantom Force, and I like Protect. Again, the ability of him to set up Trick Room, like it's probably going to happen in at least one of these games, and I can dance around it a lot with these moves. I like having Fly to boost my partners faster than Aerodactyl, but that's also a thing I could replace here. One of these could be Fire Blast. This could honestly be Dragon Tail too. Still just thinking about that. This guy's probably not going to change too much. It doesn't need to do a lot of damage. It just needs to limit the amount of work that Torkoal can do and slow Venusaur down. The Berry may go Citrus. I'm not sure. This is just kind of a filler at the moment. Wide Guard to stop eruptions even if he gets the sun up. Hurricane just because it's a good move. Scald so it hits, it just hits things. Tailwind. None of this is too complicated. I think Knockoff is the move that I can include, and I can take out Tailwind, or I can take out maybe even Hurricane. I think Scald is important in case I get into some 1v1s. Hurricane, he may have sun up at some points in time, so I'm less excited about that. But if I keep Taunt on Moltres, Knockoff on this, it doesn't really work that way, does it? Probably won't do Knockoff then, just because of speed. But there's that. Steelix, like I said, we're going AV. It's got Dragon Tail, so we can fight off the potential Trick Room. Earthquake, because a lot of my stuff... So, I have 3 flying types, and Dragapult can Phantom Force away from things, or Protect, or whatever. I'm not too worried about running EQ. Iron Head to, just hit Stab. Thunderfang, because of all the... I have a lot of options on what I can throw in there. If, it comes down to a 1v1 where it's his half HP Primarina versus my Steelix, the Thunderfang will help there, and the AV will hopefully keep me alive. If there's anything I'll change, it'll be Thunderfang. I don't know what I'll put there, but I've got options. I can go Firefang and maybe try to get a burn on something. That's pretty desperate, to be honest. I don't see a reason for Psychic Fangs. I don't find rock moves particularly useful, but maybe I'll change my mind on that. Just given his other coverage. It doesn't really have too much else that I'm interested in. I don't want another dragon move. I don't really need dark. I could explode. It's probably going to be a Fang or an explosion, but I think I'm going to stick with what it is. This is super straightforward. Thunderbolt for big damage, Life Orb just for more damage, Fly to hit Venusaur and speed us up. If it comes to that, Dark Pulse to hit Golurk. Again, just looking back at the spreadsheet, it's a lot of unresisted damage there. Goodra, I think, is the big thing that this is scared of, that it just can't take head to head. But even a couple like a Max Dark Pulse into a Max Dark Pulse, if it's not AV Goodra, it's going to do a lot of damage. And I've always got my partner in those scenarios, and in these cases, this does okay into Goodra. They just they don't fear each other. This will kill Goodra if I keep the Dragon move on it. This is scared of Thunderbolt, so maybe this becomes Wakan. I don't know. I'm still thinking about that. Goodra is sort of a threat, so that kind of leads me. Maybe I'll just put that here as a filler. But that would be useful there. But yeah, pretty basic. These are not ideal. This needs to be lower, and I can put that bulk up in here. And then Rhyme. Right now, I think Freeze Dry and Fake Out, definitely keeping. The Ice Shard thing, I don't know, I'm going to stick with. It's what I got in my head at the moment. Again, in the right scenarios, it could run through his whole team. But, if he leads... Well, if he does like an Avalugg lead and Fire Blast doesn't kill, then I'm in a very bad spot. If he does a Venusaur lead, it's honestly not that bad. The trouble with that would be if Venusaur had Sleep Powder and didn't max and Sleep Powdered the Dragapult. But I also have counterplay there too. I don't know. Rhyme's definitely in. I'm not sold on these moves. And then Ally Switch is just kind of filler because it's a good move. And it also could get around that Venu play. I have Tangled Feet at the moment because I don't really see him doing screens. So the screen thing's not useful. I don't expect Hail to be up, so that's not useful. Maybe in some weird world he tries to swagger me. And I get double evasion. But that's what I got at the moment. I think there may be some small changes between now and when you see this go live, but that's where we're at here. And yeah, I guess I'll see you all on Friday when we play.